Hey guys, this is Oracle Daphne. My name is Beth, and I'm back to give you the scoop on what's going on with my channel and talk a little bit about the energies for 2019. If you'd like to get a private reading with me, you're more than welcome to check out my website, oracledaphne.com, and I'd love to get you set up for a private reading. I am still doing private readings, so just check my website to find out like a little bit more about my schedule and things like that. I do it part-time in the afternoons and weekends. So yeah, I want to start off by wishing everybody a happy new year. I know I haven't been really much on my channel that much. I just want to talk a little bit about, to begin, a little bit about some personal stuff first. So some of you may have watched me for a long time, others are new. I did start recording videos for YouTube about 3 years ago, and I have gone through a lot of personal changes since I started doing that. For a long time I did videos for every sign, and I did them once a month, and then sometimes twice a month, and then sometimes I do additional videos. So and talk about astrology and things. I am psychic. I've been psychic my whole life, but it didn't really start to really develop until I was about 30. I am now almost 37. I'm an Aquarius, sun sign. Yeah, I've gone through a lot of personal changes. I've moved a lot, and so that's affected how much I record, and I do have a full-time job right now, and I did a video about moving to Nebraska and basically changing over to only doing videos, when I can. It's not even part-time, it's really just recording videos for my channel when I can. And so something happened just before Christmas where I had what you would call a spiritual transformation. And this is like really personal, so some of you guys might not be interested in hearing about this, but I'm going to talk about this because it's important. I think in 2019, the energy is really about learning and being guided to where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be learning, and learning from others, and hopefully you can learn from my experience. Some of you may experience this at some point. Because I'm psychic, I can see, and I've been aware of my soul, my spirit. And my spirit for since I was born was a little girl on a white horse. I resonated very, very strongly to horses, and I still do. But I've had to do a lot of inner child work, and my soul, because of this, my soul has been kind of restless for a period of time. And I haven't been able to really figure out why. And essentially, because my soul was not getting what it needed, there was a point in time where my life was going to end. And my life was going to end most likely just before Christmas, just after Thanksgiving, just, early December. That's, my soul had made a choice at that time to no longer live. And how is that possible for me to even talk about and acknowledge? It's very challenging because some people may not understand what the difference between a soul and a physical body is, but our physical body basically houses our soul, our spirit, and our spirit is unique, individual, and that's the form that my spirit was in. Then I basically went through what's called a spiritual transformation, where my spirit literally transformed into a tree. It happened, I was in the shower and I experienced it, and it was very intense and very emotional, and you could call it a rebirth. Some people may call it a rebirth. And I consider it almost like a second chance, or a restart or a reboot for my life and what I want see happen in my life and what I want to focus on and what I want to be doing, where I want to put my time. It's sort of like starting over again. And one of the reasons I did not record for December was because I was just totally going through this process of trying to figure out what was going to come next. And I still am trying to figure out what's going to come next. And we all are in some way, because 2018, I think, was a time where a lot of people found themselves being unhappy with the way things are, or the way things were going, or just experienced a lot of challenging things that they wish were different. You know, some people, it's the relationship front where they wish they were in a relationship and it just didn't happen in 2018. Some people, it's the dissolving of a relationship and going through that process. Just a lot of things. I know from my experience, there was a lot of loss too. People, you know, there was a lot of deaths in the family, and there was loss, and myself included. And so there was a lot of things to deal with in 2018. And I think 2019 is going to be kind of a time where we get to think about, okay, what's most important, and what do we want to create, and really harness our creativity, and really harness like our sense of self. Which I'm going to talk about here in a second. So to answer your question about, if you have any questions about the soul, my soul spirit thing, before you even ask it, is that it's sort of like my soul kind of looks like, the only way to describe it would be like a dryad. Like, it's like a female, but she's like part of this tree. It's a soul that's just part of this tree. And because of that, there's a lot of more, I feel a lot more grounded, and I feel like I have a much farther reach as far as my psychic abilities, and my psychic abilities have shifted and grown and changed. I also had like a lot of perspective changes. Part of that whole shift, I had to let go of a lot. I went through a time, basically December was a time of extreme releasing old friendships, old relationships, outdated things, and I came to a point of realizing a lot of my belief systems that I had myself were needed to go also, which leads me into part of the YouTube. My issue with YouTube at this time is that my old way of doing YouTube did not balance myself, the giving and receiving issue. A lot of people show up to watch YouTube, and it's really all about what their needs are, what they want. It's very ego focused. You know, everything needs to be time stamped. Everything needs to be about the sun sign or the moon sign or the ascendant. Regardless of where you're at in time. And my focus, my shift, my want for 2019 in my channels, what I really hope to have happen is I want people to come to my channel at a time where they're open to receiving and giving feedback, and or open to understanding that it's a give and take process with energy, but also listening at a time that it is going to be, and trusting that it's going to be applicable to them in some way. Not everything is going to, and it's not necessarily about their sun sign. I have watched, and I'll tell you, before I started my channel, I used to be, I still do. I watch a lot of other YouTubers, psychics on YouTube that inspired me. There was a lot of people that inspired me to begin my channel. One of those was Jean Wiley. I still love watching her. Karen Lestrup, I watched her channel for a long time. Lada Doncheva, I've never partnered with her, but she did inspire me. She does astrology. Just women that have really inspired me, that have been in the YouTube community, that that have been on YouTube, and it's sort of like, I guess there's this, thing where it's like all of a sudden, like, I'll be watching one of those videos, and, it's not Aquarius. I'm not watching Aquarius, and then whatever they're saying at that moment is totally applicable to me, and it has nothing to do with my sign. So I guess I want in 2019 to really have people open their mind to the law of attraction, to less about specifics, like people that watch for specific things in order for it to resonate and then they reach out for a private reading. I want people to know that I am really not making very much money on YouTube at this time, so I'm not doing this for a living. At one point I was, so there's a shift in that. I think I have grown into like more, again, into that belief that I believe in giving and receiving. And I think I'm showing up to YouTube to be a guide for people. And it's less about me just giving away my energy in order to make a living. I'm not giving away my energy anymore. I'm not showing up for people that are going to take my work and put it on like 100 different websites, you know? I'm not showing up to prove myself in any way. I'm not showing up to be validated. I know within my core self, my tree soul, that I am very psychic, that I've been psychic my whole life, and that I reserve my energy and my focus for what's most important, for people who are open to receiving it, my guidance and my light, and for people who understand that I no longer have this belief system of being unworthy or of being not good enough or of needing, and then therefore needing validation. I know that I am good enough. I know that I do have psychic ability. I know that I don't have to prove to anyone that those are my skills and abilities, and I'm not limited. That's the thing. We all somehow limit ourselves, and in 2019, I am not limited to this time-stamped structure called YouTube. I don't have to do timestamps. I don't even have to talk about sun signs. I do want to talk in my videos about astrology and about, you know, sun signs if it comes up, and, you know, use the tarot as I've always done. But it's just like, that's no longer as important as me feeling like my viewers are really being guided, catching what I say that might not be applicable to them, quote unquote, finding my channel at a time where they really needed to hear something different, or they needed to hear something explained to them in a certain way. There is, you know, the law of attraction, which you can read about. There's a book here. I wanted to show it to my friend. Sent me this book, and I've talked about this book before. And it talks about the law of attraction, the spiritual laws. And some of you may want to read up on the spiritual laws so you can understand more about psychics, more about how it's possible that psychics have this ability to tune into things, and really dig a little bit deeper. That's like in a nutshell where I'm going with things. My spiritual transformation made it so that I care very much about my time at this point, about self-care, taking care of myself, making sure that I'm not reading where I'm being spiritually depleted, or that I'm not reading at a time where I'm energetically depleted. When you channel, psychics channel, they're open to a lot of psychic attack. They're open to a lot of not necessarily negative things, but people, you know, placing judgments on them, and other negative influences, and for beings to channel through them. And I want to limit how open I am to that energy, because I really want to, at this time, kind of go a little bit more inward and conserve my energy, because I was going to pass away. I gave away so much of my energy, too much, in fact, that was part of me being at that point where I would have passed away. So I am at a place with like, okay, well, my belief systems have changed. My energy has changed. I'm at a place where I feel like I'm going to conserve my energy, my psychic ability, whatever you want to call it, and not read as much time as I was putting into before, and not do it with the same intention. Before I was doing it with the intention of being more of bringing in and channeling the energies, but I think I was also attracting people who have a need for specifics in order for them to somehow be validated where they're at, in order for them to believe in what I'm doing. And what I'd like to have happen in 2019 is I'd like people to just understand that there's spirituality everywhere, that the world is a spiritual place, and that I'm not here to prove that. I may be explaining that, but I'm not here to prove that. And there's a difference. So that's important. So I wanted to share that a little bit and talk about that. I do want to talk a little bit about the energy that I feel like in 2019, what it's really about. And we had the North Node in Leo for a period of time, which I really feel like tripped a lot of people up. The energy of the age of Aquarius, to me, it's a very Aquarian energy, is kind of what we're dealing with at this time. And we've kind of gone back to dealing with that. And there's a lot of other astrological influences. There's a lunar eclipse coming up. There's a lot of other things happening in astrology, but I want to get back to the age of Aquarius energy, the Aquarius energy versus the Leo energy, because I feel like in 2019, that's where the biggest challenges are going to be. So when I look at Aquarius, I also look at Leo at the same time. And other astrologers do that, and other people that read also do that. I think about it, I talk about it as the shadow, the Aquarius shadow. And it has to do with the opposite sign on the elliptical, okay? So if you're an Aquarius, your opposite sign is Leo. If you're a Sagittarius, your opposite sign is Gemini, okay? And so on and so forth. With the age of Aquarius, we all are having to deal with the Leo energy as a challenge. And the Leo energy has to do with over identification with the ego, over concern with self, balancing the heart energy with the head energy, getting self-absorbed to the point where nothing else matters. Isolation in some cases. Now, there's positive aspects to Leo and there's negative ones. And I see the Leo shadow of the age of Aquarius as the more negative ones. So Aquarius is, if you have a sun sign of Aquarius, you're kind of going to naturally be kind of in a zone. I feel like in 2019, you're going to be kind of in your zone because the North Node is no longer going to be this issue. It's no longer going to be like this obstacle block. It's clear sailing, okay, for Aquarius, I feel. But for a lot of other people, they're going to be dealing with some issue, I feel like, of the ego. And how this applies on YouTube is people not feeling satisfied with themselves, feeling a sense of dissatisfaction, feeling like they aren't important or what they say doesn't matter, or like feeling small versus very large. People may have this kind of distorted perspective of themselves. They may feel very small, but they actually may be, in the limelight, or an important person, or someone who's out there, maybe in the media or something, and they may not feel good enough. And there's issues of self-esteem and self-worth that are going to be coming up to the forefront, I feel like, in 2019. Now, going forward, 2020 I see as a time of because of Pluto and Saturn, I feel like 2020 is a time of major earth shifts. And to me, that's more of a time of just figuring out where home is, figuring out what our security is, reevaluating our money and our money systems. To me, it's like all about location. I feel like for some people, to me, it's like I see in 2020 a lot of people moving and a lot of big changes that aren't like, they may seem scary, but it's not like to me, it's not like, I don't think 2020 is the end of the world. I just don't. I do feel like though it seems scary. Now, that brings me to another thing on YouTube. A lot of psychics or a lot of videos are driven to scare people. And in 2019, my videos, I want people to understand if I'm channeling or if I'm talking about something, it's not done with the intention to scare someone. It's done with the intention of shining a light on what's going on and what I see, but it's not meant to bring you into that fear zone. And a lot of people who are watching, psychics on YouTube are already naturally in that fear zone. Everybody's scared of what's going to happen in 2020, scared of what's happening in our political system, scared what's happening in 2019 or what's going to happen. And I do feel like going back to the self versus others. The self versus others in 2019 is going to be going to come to a critical point. I feel like relationships at that time are going to be really, really important. Like the people that you have in your life are going to be really, really important. But I feel like if you haven't released relationships or people that aren't necessarily good for you, you will be releasing relationships in 2019. Why? To prepare you for, to me, like the shift in 2020. To me, the shift in 2020 it feels to me just like an earthquake. I'm just going to tell you that. It just feels kind of like an earthquake. Now, there may be earthquakes. Psychics have talked about 2020 and there's being a lot of earth changes, and I do resonate with that energy, just Mother Earth coming into focus. Mother Earth saying, you know what, this has to stop. There's going to be, I feel like a big stop sign that happens in 2020 for a lot of people. Either people are going to stop, the way they're living and start living a completely different life. They're going to stop eating certain things. Again, they may stop doing a job just to do it. It's just a lot of big changes that to me have to do with like this stop. I just see 2020 as like a big halt, a big stop sign, and kind of like a wake up call for a lot of people. Now, does that mean, again, it's something to be afraid of? No, because I feel like we're all gonna move through it as best we can, and it's sort of just like my aunt would say, a door that we have to walk through. Okay, and that's we walked through the door of 2019. We started 2019 January 1st. So we walked through the door into the new energy of 2019, and we'll walk through the door to 2020 when we get there, and we'll reassess at that point. But it's like, I definitely feel like for 2019, the best thing that people can do is balance their needs, their ego, what they identify with their ego with, their self versus, focus on others. Some of you may have too much focus on other people, social media, what other people think, what other people want. Some of you are getting distracted very much by relationships and friendships and family. It's just a total distraction. And that's the Aquarius energy. But the trap is not to fall totally into that, and is to balance the Leo energy and be like, okay, I can take time for myself. And the funny thing is I was thinking about self-care. Like I knew that I was going to talk about self-care in this video at least once. And I feel like self-care in 2019 is going to be a huge, huge thing. It already is. There's already so much stuff on the web about self-care, but it's just going to be like even more. Like I feel like people are really going to be like, oh, I really need to start taking care of myself and actually do it and actually really make necessary changes. And I'm getting a tingle on that. I think it's really positive, and I don't want you guys to come away with this video thinking that I was just like, regurgitating things that I've read or heard, but I do really feel like that is one of those positive things that are coming out, that's going to come out of 2019 is a really positive thing. But again, I think it's in preparation for shifts in 2020. So I kind of feel like 2019 is, it's an energy that, that kind of brings us to, it's sort of like, okay, like this is the way I see it. It's like 2019 is preparation time. Is like, let's just say you're going to get planning for a big move. 2019 is all the prep work that needs to happen. Getting the boxes, packing up your stuff, figuring out where you're going, getting a job, you know what I'm saying? Like in that location, changing all of your addresses. Like it's all that prep stuff that happens. And then in 2020 is like, that's when you move, Now some of you literally may be moving in 2020. Like that may actually happen. I definitely feel like there's going to be a shift in population though, whether it's from in 2020, whether it's from natural stuff, like natural, like earthquake stuff, storm stuff. I mean, I just feel like it's huge. I just feel like it's a huge earth shift in 2020. And so we're kind of all in that process. Now, I do feel like 2019 is a great time to kind of wrap up things and get things kind of organized and done that maybe, you've put on the back burner. So let's just say you've always wanted to take a trip to Spain, like 2019 would be a good time to do that. If you've always wanted to, I don't know, take archery lessons or swimming lessons or like get your pilot's license or do something that's like out of the norm or different, I think 2019 is a great time. I feel like 2019 is actually going to be a very fun year. One of my goals for myself was to have more fun in 2019. I definitely feel like people are going to have more fun. The cool thing about the Leo energy is that fun element. And I feel like there is that balance point of, knowing limits and not overdoing it. Because Leo, everything is sort of expanded and blown out of proportion with Leo. That to me, Leo just has that expansive energy. So the idea is to have more fun, but be careful with the limits and know your limits and be safe about things. Stating the obvious there. So those are my like main things that I wanted to talk about in this video. And hopefully I haven't confused you guys or irritated you guys too much. I appreciate all the love and support that everybody has given me over the years in doing my channel, and I do intend to try to record when I can. A lot of people have said that they can't see my videos. Definitely make sure you're clicking the bell if you subscribe, or even like if you unsubscribe and then resubscribe, it'll ask you to make sure you click the bell. The way when I do post videos, you'll get to see them. And again, going back to me just wanting to focus on the videos that I'm posting are meant to be a guide for people, and they're not meant to prove anything, and they're not meant to say, okay, I'm the most craziest, bestest psychic in the world or anything like that. It's not like that. It's more just like I'm channeling things that I think are going to matter to the people that watch them. And what matters, the interesting thing about Aquarius to me, Aquarius is like, the age of Aquarius is very creative, very quirky, very out of the box energy. Anything that you can do that's different, where you're doing it yourself, do-it-yourself projects, or really developing your sense of self is really going to be great for you in 2019. And I definitely feel like the energy of that is important, but it's also balanced with giving back, focusing on humanitarian efforts, being more open-minded, more inclusive. That's the Aquarius energy too. So it's like the focus on self, but yet making sure to make time for others, making sure to make time for people in your life and people that are important to you, and doing things that are important to you. So thank you guys so much. Again, I appreciate it so much, and I'll be back again. So stay tuned. I send everyone big hugs, big kisses, and I will talk to you guys again soon. All right, take care. Bye.